Hi there. Good to see you all. I saw my dear friend Roger Nichols, who's online, so I got to say a little hello to you and see some familiar faces and some new faces. Again, I'm just so grateful to be here. Thank you for having me again in this beautiful sanctuary and getting to, as we say in Yiddish, daven, to pray with you. I know we're a little past the point, but I haven't seen you, so I want to say I hope you had a meaningful and beautiful Christmas and New Year's, and as we welcome 2025 in. I want to take a moment with some heaviness in my heart in light of the recent news. I'd like to dedicate these remarks to all those who have been suffering since October 7th, 2023. And I want to hold up the hostages, those who remain alive, pray that they come home speedily and soon, and find the care and loving kindness that they deserve. And to all those suffering in Gaza and the region since the war, praying for their families, that they find the space to grieve with a ceasefire, and may they receive the humanitarian aid that they desperately need. So may it be. Some of you may know I had a great honor last week of giving a prayer at the State House at the governor's inauguration. And in that speech, I spoke about the dignity of all those in Vermont and how we need to especially uphold the dignity of the most vulnerable, and how each of us is imbued with gifts and talents and a purpose in this world. And that if we create circles of care around our family, friends, and neighbors, everyone will have the opportunity to be their full selves, to achieve their greatest potential. The essence of the teaching goes back to the idea that we share, that we're all created in God's image, and thus we have, each of us, a gift and purpose to share. So how beautiful that when Father Rick shared with me the lessons of today, there it was, right in 1 Corinthians 12. Now these are the varieties of the gifts, but the same Spirit. And these are the varieties of services, but the same Lord. And these are the varieties of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. And then it goes on to express all the different gifts that one could be endowed with, whether it's wisdom or knowledge, faith or healing, miracles or prophecy, discernment, kinds of tongues and interpretation of tongues. And all of these are activated by one and the same Spirit who allots to each one individually, just as the Spirit chooses. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't speak in tongues. I might, though, have witnessed my 6-year-old this weekend. Pretty sure I could not understand him. But here, though, each of our gifts and talents are articulated as God-given and a part of the same source. I also think that in this teaching is a core message of the passage of interfaith fellowship in these words. And I hear them in the words that there are a variety of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are a variety of services, but the same Lord, and a variety of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. Seen from a faith perspective, each tradition has its own gifts. Varieties of services and activities, but it's the same God. We share the same God. More so, it says, to each is given the manifestation of the Spirit from the common good. Each of us individually, and each tradition, culture, religion, offers the opportunity to pursue the common good. I would add that it's not a given that our talents and gifts are to be used towards the common good. Sometimes We don't use them in that way. But it is our opportunity to pursue the common good through our gifts and talents. So, as I look through the other passages shared in this service, I was quite amazed that here I am in an Episcopal church, yet in these passages is a deep richness of Jewish tradition. I didn't notice it at first, but then I looked at it in the Hebrew, and I was like, oh, there we are. And so each tradition taking its cue from God's holy words. I want to start with a bit of show and tell. So we read Psalm 36, 5 to 10. And in our Jewish faith, for a particular ritual that I'll talk about, we section it a little bit differently. We section it verses 8 to 11, but roughly the same. But even in the sectioning of the verses, there's interpretation. And Psalms feature prominently in Jewish liturgy, as they do in the Episcopal Church. And this one is used in the ritual of putting on a prayer shawl. Here's the show and tell part. So this was actually my father's prayer shawl, and he has since passed. So it says in the Torah that you shall wear fringes on the corners of your garments in Numbers 15. And it says you shall remember, by doing so, you shall remember all the mitzvot, all of the commandments of Adonai, and fulfill them. And originally people would walk around Israel with, four-cornered garments and have fringes. They would walk around the day, and you can even see that today with people wearing what's called the talit katan, a small talit with fringes hanging down as they walk around doing their daily business. And a reminder of the mitzvot. In prayer, we wear this prayer shawl, a talit, and say, after putting on the prayer shawl, these same words from this psalm. Ma yakar chastecha Elohim uvnei adam betzel kenafecha yechesayun. Psalm 36:8. How precious is your loving kindness, O God. The children of humankind find refuge, find shelter under the shadow of your wings. So the talit, as you can see it as it's open, is a symbol of God's embrace, as though God's hands or wings encircle and embrace us. They are a sign of God's chesed, God's loving kindness and care for us. Yirviyun mideshen beitecha v'nachal adanecha tashkem. They are filled with the rich plenty of your house. You give them drink from your stream of delight. So not only are the physical needs met in this world by God, but also the spiritual needs as described in the physical. Ki imcha mekor chayim ba'orcha nir'eh or. For with you is the fountain of life. By your light do we see light. Life itself comes from the spiritual and physical needs that are bestowed by God's self. And it ends with verse 11. Mishoch chastecha liyode'echa v'tzidkatcha liyishrei lev. Continue to draw down your loving kindness on those who know you and your righteousness to the upright of heart. The wearing of a talit is a beautiful tradition. You'll see it from Orthodox to Reformed Jews, and it's a very personal experience. There are various traditions around it, but all come back to this sense that God is loving. The tzitzit, the fringes, are a reminder that represent the 613 commandments described in the Torah, as though just by wearing the talit we might fulfill all of the commandments. This is maybe a bit different than Christian theology here, where we see the law as a way into God's love, each tradition having its own way into the Spirit. Those of us who have worn a talit can feel this embrace, and even just seeing it, I hope you see this sense of the spiritual embrace of God. This is Dr. King's weekend, and this past Friday at services, as I do every year on MLK weekend, I read sections from one of his sermons, Antidotes for Fear this time. And in this sermon, he captures this idea of a loving God so beautifully and poignantly as an antidote to our inner fears. I'd like to quote him here. Religion endows us with the conviction that we are not alone in this vast, uncertain universe. Beneath and above the shifting sands of time, the uncertainties that darken our days and the vicissitudes that cloud our nights is a wide and loving God. The universe is not a tragic expression of meaningless chaos, but a marvelous display of orderly cosmos. Above the manyness of time stands the one eternal God, with wisdom to guide us, strength to protect us, and love to keep us. God's boundless love supports and contains us as a mighty ocean contains and supports the tiny drops of every wave. With a surging fullness, God is forever moving toward us. How beautiful. A beautiful expression of God's love from one of God's people. As I mentioned, there's also another custom or tradition from your daily readings today, this time from Isaiah 62, 1-5. It talks about God being betrothed to God's people and to the Holy Land. It says, "Nevermore shall you be called forsaken, nor shall your land be called desolate, but you shall be called, I delight in her. For your land is espoused, and your land espoused. For God takes delight in you, and your land shall be espoused. Ki yiv'al bachur betula yiv'aluch banaich, umsos chatan al kala yasis alaich Elohaich." As a young man espouses a young woman, your children shall marry you. And as a bridegroom rejoices over their bride, so will your God rejoice over you. Here God is depicted with the people as one with a bride and groom. In our modern day, we know that God is surely beyond gender, and it need not be just a man or woman depicted as being married. But nonetheless, here is this notion of being married to God as a way into our faith. And it's another depiction of a loving God, like the love of partners. And as the partners who love each other and on their day of wedding feel that deep sense of joy. I have been witness to and felt religious joy greatly in my life, and I want to talk about two of those experiences, deeply felt with a sense of love. Again, in honor of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I can still feel the love and joy from the time that I was in Atlanta a couple of years ago and got to pray at Ebenezer Church where he was the senior pastor. The sense of joy from that Black American church is one that I have also felt in my Jewish life and through Jewish experience. It's a joy through the struggle, a joy through the struggle. My kids particularly loved during that service the spontaneous amens during the sermon, and you,
Amen.
Amen, and you preach it, preacher. We don't do that at our synagogue, but we surely love that. The second bit of joy, and it connects to our reading here, that I have felt, and probably the place in my Jewish life where I've felt the most joy, is in dancing the hora, in dancing in circles among the people at a wedding, and at other simchas, at other joyous times. It's actually a mitzvah. It's actually a commandment to bring joy to the wedding couple on their marriage. So, before I conclude with a final ritual, and I'm going to break out my guitar, because that's what I do, so bear with me. I want to thank you for this opportunity to be here, and to, through your tradition and these readings today, to revive and reignite my own sense of Jewish practice and my sense of faith in my own tradition. Amidst the gifts that each faith brings, amidst the joy that each faith brings, amidst the talents that each person brings to this world, each with our own purpose, may we merit to experience God's dignity. May we merit to experience God's loving embrace as under the talit. And may we merit to experience pure, exuberant joy and happiness. So, the verse in Isaiah is actually a wedding song. It's a song that's sung at many weddings, Jewish weddings, and the words mean, your God will rejoice over you as a groom rejoices over his bride. So I'm hoping that we can all rise, and I'm going to sing in the Hebrew first, and I'm inviting you all to clap along. We're going to do this together and kind of tap your feet a little bit. So I'll do it in the Hebrew, and then we're going to do it in a little Yidadai. Yasi salayich Elohayich ki imsos chatan al kala. Yasi salayich Elohayich ki imsos chatan al kala.
Thank you, Rabbi, for being with us.
Thank you.